What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Tomatoito Boxing Show. And what a day! What a day and what a weekend that we're awaiting here. So far, we had Deontay Wilder make weight and show up at a lighter weight since 2018, I think, when he first stepped into the ring against Tyson Fury. I think he was like 211 or 212 back then. He just weighed in earlier today at 214 against a Robert Helenius who came in at 253. The co-main event is one that I'm really looking forward to. The co-main event is none other than a super middleweight fight between Caleb Plant and Anthony Dirrell. Anthony Dirrell is coming off a TKO victory over Marcos Hernandez. Caleb Plant is coming off a loss to one Saul Canelo Alvarez, which took place last November. Caleb Plant is going to be back in action. Anthony Dirrell is going to be back in action. He's been working his comeback for a while now, and this fight between these two is very intriguing to me, more so than the main event, even though I'm looking forward to seeing Deontay Wilder back in action. The intriguing part about this co-main event is that they have deemed it a WBC title eliminator fight, which means what? The winner will be more than likely in line for a David Benavidez fight, who holds the WBC interim title right now. The winner of this should be nicely met and set up against a David Benavidez, and the winner of that fight would more than likely be knocking on the door of the undisputed king, Canelo Alvarez. Now, with that said, we have the main event between Deontay Wilder, and then before I jump into Wilder, Caleb Plant and Anthony Dirrell both made weight. Both came in lighter than the 168 pounds without any issues. A lot of back and forth, a lot of disdain between these two fighters. Anthony Dirrell basically told Caleb Plant that he hates him. That he hates his style, he thinks he's cocky, he can't stand them, this and that. And Caleb Plant is not having it. He's not putting up with it, he's not having it, and he's not really engaging it either. So that's a really cool thing between these two fighters, that we're seeing some disdain there, because it only elevates the level of and the magnitude for this fight. And if anything, this could be a main event of its own, but as a co-main event, it serves nicely. It's coming in nicely and serving nicely for a Deontay Wilder Helenius main event. Deontay Wilder, and then I'm jumping a lot here, but Anthony Dirrell is going to be coming in with the record of 34-2-2. 34 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. One of those losses was a stoppage loss that he suffered against David Benavidez, and that was back in 2019. He has the 2 draws, 1 draw against Kyron Davis. That happened in 2021 in his first comeback fight since the knockout loss to David Benavidez, just about a year and a half to 2 years. Well, yeah, just under the 2-year later mark from the David Benavidez loss. The other draw came in 2013 against Sakio Bika. He had 2 fights back to back against Sakio Bika. He had the draw, which was a split decision draw, and then he faced Sakio Bika right back, which was about 7-8 months later, and he ended up beating Sakio Bika by unanimous decision. Sakio Bika, of course, was one of the top contenders back in the early teens of the 2000 era, I guess I could say. Very good resume on behalf of Anthony Dirrell. Very good fighter. The dog Anthony Dirrell, 34-2-2 with 25 knockouts to his credit. And one of those 2 defeats came as a knockout loss at the hands of David Benavidez. Now, Caleb Plant coming off a loss to Saul Alvarez where he got stopped. And that's the only loss he has on his record. 1 loss, 1 stop. He was stopped by Canelo Alvarez, of course, in the 11th round. If you remember that fight last November, he has a decent resume as well. Was the IBF champ for quite a while at 168 until he relinquished that title to Alvarez and gave Alvarez that final piece to the puzzle of the undisputed title. 21-1 is Caleb Plant's current record, 12 knockouts to his credit. Good boxing, very good boxing on his behalf. Good hands, good footwork, and he proved it against Saul Alvarez. He proved it. So does Anthony Dirrell. Anthony Dirrell has a really good pedigree that he's bringing with him. Very good pedigree, both him and his brother. Great fighters, great boxers. So it's going to be very intriguing. If this is a boxing match, it's going to be one of the best boxing matches this year, hands down. I anticipate that if this is a boxing match, both of them deliver quickly. Both of them have good power behind those punches. And I'm leaning towards Caleb Plant because he's in my eyes, he's a younger of the two fighters as far as resume goes. He's taken the least amount of damage, in my opinion. He's 30 years of age at the moment, and age is not so much in boxing years. 30 is somewhat old because he's definitely not in his peak prime, but he's still in his prime right now, Caleb Plant. But he is 30 years old. He's not a 25, 26-year-old. He's 30 years old, but Anthony Dirrell is 38 years old. Anthony Dirrell is both older, not just by age, but by resume. He's taken a lot more punches, a lot more damage. He's taken a lot of long layoffs also. And so nonetheless, experience is something that Anthony Dirrell brings with him. And Caleb Plant, the best experience he just recently got was being in a fight against one of the absolute best in the world, and that was Canelo Alvarez. So it's a 60-40, maybe 70-30 fight as I'm seeing it right now for Caleb Plant. I'm leaning for Caleb Plant to be able to pull this victory out. I don't know how it's going to come, but more than likely it'll be a decision victory for Caleb Plant. I don't think it's going to be one-sided, but I do think that Caleb Plant has all the tools to be able to stop Anthony Dirrell. All right, let's jump into Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius, because I was skipping quite a bit and fumbling a little bit, just ready to talk about this heavyweight fight because Deontay Wilder is making his comeback, his long-awaited comeback, and against none other than Robert Helenius. Now, Robert Helenius, the Nordic Nightmare, is on a 3-fight win streak at the moment. But Robert Helenius has 3 losses to his record, and 2 of those 3 losses have been knockouts. He was knocked out by Gerald Washington in the last defeat before he amassed that 3-fight win streak. He was knocked out in the 8th round. It was a 10-round fight, and he was knocked out in the 8th round by Gerald Washington. Gerald Washington is a former victim of Deontay Wilder, someone who was stopped by Deontay Wilder. He lost a unanimous decision, lost to Dillian White, and Johan Duhaupas knocked out Helenius in the 6th round of a 12-round fight, and that was back in 2016. So 2019 was his last loss, and that was against Gerald Washington. From there, he ended up being Mateus Osorio and Adam Kaunaki in back-to-back fights, March of 2020 and October of 2021, where he stopped. He stopped Kaunaki. It was a TKO victory for Helenius in 2020, as he downed him in round 4, and then the rematch was actually in the on the undercard of Wilder and Fury. That night, I believe it was a 3rd fight between the two, but let me check this real quick because I don't like to give you guys wrong info, but that was October 9th of 21. And yeah, October 9th of 21, that card, that night, that was at the T-Mobile Arena. So it was a co-main event, Robert Helenius and Adam Kaunaki. That was a co-main event to Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 3. Robert Helenius is stepping into the ring with a 31-3 record. 2 of those 3 losses came by the way of knockout, where he was stopped. Now, out of his 31 victories, he has 20 knockouts to his credit. He possesses power. He does possess power. Now, he is a right-hand puncher. and the power's in that right hand. He usually boxes with the 1-2. And we're gonna break down this fight here a little bit. Deontay Wilder stepping into the ring with a 42-2-1 record, with 41 of the 42 victories have come by the way of knockout. So he stopped 41 of his 42 prior opponents. The 2 losses have both come at the hands of Tyson Fury. Both losses, knockout losses. The 2020 rematch with Tyson Fury, the first one, if you remember, that one draw, all 3 of those blemishes on Deontay Wilder's record are all there because of one man. The one draw was the first fight between him and Tyson Fury, and that was a split decision draw, where somehow miraculously Tyson Fury answered the bell down the stretch and managed to get back on his feet and ended up fighting to a draw. The rematch happened in February of 2020, and Tyson Fury stops Deontay Wilder in the 7th round. Then the trilogy happens about a year and a half later, just over a year and a half later, and that's where we were just talking about Robert Helenius and Adam Konaki having their rematch as the co-main event of the trilogy fight between Wilder and Fury. Now, that trilogy fight was another sure shot classic. It was an instant classic. Both the first fight and the third fight were instant classics. The second one, which was the rematch, was a one-sided showing by Tyson Fury. Now, when you see this, all blemishes on Deontay Wilder's record, all 3 blemishes, the 2 losses and the 1 draw are all at the hands of Tyson Fury. From there on, he's basically perfect. 42 victories, 41 knockouts. To his credit, he's gotten back lighter to where he used to find success, and he weighed in today at 214 pounds to Robert Helenius' 253. Robert Helenius has been stopped twice. Robert Helenius was also and is also a former sparring partner and helped Deontay Wilder prepare for Tyson Fury. So these guys know each other already. They know each other fairly well. They've sparred numerous rounds against one another, and now they're going to get to share the ring in a professional setting. Robert Helenius possesses that 1-2. He inches close to his opponents. He continues to inch forward to be able to land his 1-2, usually starting with the left, and throws that power right. But more often than not, Robert Helenius finds himself on the back foot. He inches forward to throw his 1-2. When the opponent returns his attack, Robert Helenius is usually on his back foot, and more often than not throughout his fights, he's finding himself walking backwards. That's how Gerald Washington found success with him. Deontay Wilder doesn't do that. Deontay Wilder, you could criticize and you could make bets against his footwork. You could make bets against his stamina. You could make bets against his boxing ability or his defense, but you have a sure shot moneymaker whenever you put money and coin your bet on his power. You cannot bet against Deontay Wilder's power. If he lands, he's gonna knock out Robert Helenius, and he's gonna land. So it's a matter of when he lands. He was able to drop Tyson Fury. He's dropped Tyson Fury multiple times. Tyson Fury's just a better boxer, and he managed to get up and survive and then outbox Deontay Wilder to the point where he stopped him in the second fight, and then he stopped him in the third fight late down the stretch. But he's been hurt by Deontay Wilder. Wilder will find a way to land his punch, and when he lands that right hand, he's going to knock out Robert Helenius. I see Deontay Wilder getting back to the win column, and I see him stopping Robert Helenius somewhere around the middle rounds of the fight, maybe between the 5th and 7th round. I'll even stretch it to the 5th and 8th round. Robert Helenius possesses power. The fact that they know each other and the fact that they've shared rounds or several rounds between the two means that it's going to take them a little longer to develop. And I see the fight starting to develop around round 3, round 4, and then Deontay Wilder will be landing some heavy leather on him. That's not to say that Helenius doesn't. Helenius is very dangerous on his back foot because he possesses power while he's walking backwards and has caught his opponents with uppercuts or with looping punches, whether it's a left or a right. Deontay Wilder comes forward. Deontay Wilder takes the fight to his opponents. So defense, footwork, all that's not going to be an issue here because Robert Helenius is not Tyson Fury. Robert Helenius is very flat-footed, as is Deontay Wilder. Robert Helenius inches forward and tends to walk backward immediately to get out of the danger zone, whereas Deontay Wilder, that's when he capitalizes. When the opponents are moving backwards, he usually lunges forward and throws his power at will. That's how I see the fight playing out. Helenius is going to inch forward, and the moment that Wilder throws something, he's going to start inching backwards. And that's when Deontay Wilder is going to start lunging forward and trying to land that big bomb and that finishing touch. I see Deontay Wilder getting back to the win column. I see Deontay Wilder stopping Robert Helenius in his tracks. What's the questions here? The fact that Deontay Wilder was already stating and in the mindset of wanting to call it a day after that trilogy fight with Tyson Fury. He made several comments and several reports came out where he was already considering retirement. So this is the second showing of Deontay Wilder, and we're going to see what's left in his tank, how much Deontay Wilder's still there, how committed he is to boxing, and he's talking that he's back in and he's trying to go after those titles, but one thing's the talk. We'll see how he performs. If he's going to be punch shy or trigger shy or anything like that, I don't think it's going to be a factor. I think once he gets in there, he's going to perform and he's going to perform well. But that's the question looming right now on the side of Deontay Wilder. If he still has that hunger, if he still has it in him, and because he was already contemplating retirement. Robert Helenius is in a completely different mindset. Even though he's lost before, he doesn't care. He's of a mindset that he wants to be the first fighter out of Finland to become a heavyweight champion. Not a single Finnish fighter has been a heavyweight champion of the world, and he wants to be the first. So he's fully committed and fully coming for Deontay Wilder. He's put those losses behind him, and he just continues fighting. And that mindset is fully committed and fully going forward. It's hard to teach that. That's just internal. So that's where the two mindsets differ here of the fighter stepping into the ring. Robert Helenius gives himself every shot, whereas Deontay Wilder might check out if he starts getting hurt or if Robert Helenius lands something strong that brings those flashbacks to Wilder during the fight. We might see another stoppage victory for Helenius. Very slim chance, but this is heavyweight boxing. And heavyweight boxing is the only division where if that statement of one punch could change the entire outcome is ever so true in boxing, it's even more meaningful and even more true in the heavyweight division because these are heavy-handed giants going at one another and throwing concrete punches, iron punches, hammers down on each other. And yes, one punch can change the outcome. Robert Helenius has the power, and he has that 1-2 that if he lands it on the button, he could definitely drop and possibly stop Deontay Wilder. But he doesn't possess the Bronze Bomber's type power. So I see the Bronze Bomber getting back to the win column and coming out with a victory. Of course, the other fight that's taking place this weekend, there's two other big fights taking place this weekend. Claressa Shields, Savannah Marshall. We have the co-main event there, and the showcase being shared by Michaela Mayer against Alicia Baumgartner. That fight's happening now in the UK, and then the big undisputed lightweight rematch between Devin Haney and George Kambosos. That fight's taking place in Australia once again, and we're awaiting the weigh-in between these two. So it should be happening later today, and I'm glad I was able to do this preview episode here for you guys. I will catch you all on the recap episode of the Wilder, Helenius, and Caleb Plant, Anthony Dirrell episode. So big weekend. Enjoy the weekend. I hope you guys are surrounded by loved ones and friends. And if you're not, then accompany yourself with a good drink, find a good scotch, a good cigar, and enjoy the fights. I will be watching, and I will be bringing you the recap episodes of every one of the main events this coming weekend. Tune in to Wilder Helenius, Plant, and Dirrell, and I'll catch you on the other side. Have a good one. Salud.